Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we're going to be talking about the newest album from Little Big Town called Wanderlust. The release of this album should not be as controversial as it is. And make no mistake, it has been controversial, which is always kind of bizarre considering Little Big Town is not a band you would expect to court a lot of controversy. But between Girl Crush in 2014 and 2015 and the lead up to this release, this group has somehow wound up in the headlines more than you would ever expect. But then again, given how consistently Little Big Town has been compared to Fleetwood Mac over their careers, another mixed gender group that's been steadily sliding across genres, it's not that surprising. Their 2014 release Painkiller was considered by many critics to be analogous to Tusk in its genre bending and experimentation, most of which fell flat courtesy of Jay Joyce's overdone production, but hey, there were a couple songs there that I did like. A lot of critics liked that album a lot more than I did. And yet, thanks to the success of Girl Crush, Little Big Town were bigger than ever and attracted a producer that's not exactly known for country. Pharrell Williams, one of the big names behind the Neptunes in the 2000s, and nowadays known for his work on The Voice and the song Happy, which absolutely ruled 2014. So in between a series of trips between LA and Nashville, and even a quick collaboration with Justin Timberlake of all people, they put out a quick, breezy record that the band themselves made very clear wasn't country at all. And let me be blunt here, that's fine. I'm fully confident that the band would sound fine in a pop context, and I'm not gonna blame them because desperate radio programmers in country would be plugging in their songs regardless. That's not their fault. And if they wanted to dash out a quick side project that would be their version of Fleetwood Mac's Mirage, though you'd have to hope they'd be better than that album, I was definitely curious about it. So, how did Wanderlust by Little Big Town turn out? Well, to be blunt, it didn't turn out at all. And look, there are plenty of excuses and lowered expectations that could be made for this album. Yeah, it's a side project. It's not intended to be remotely substantial. It's just a lightweight summer project that's not intended for real impact in between country releases. But you know what? Even by that standard, this record fell incredibly flat for me. At best, it's a failed experiment that I can't see gaining any traction anywhere. But at worst, it's a sort of miscalculation that treads up to the point of being so insubstantial, it's barely worth the words and time that I'm giving it here. You want the short of it? Wanderlust is intended as a lightweight, fun pastiche of sunshine pop from late 60s and mid 70s, and it's not fun. It can't even rise to that level. So okay, how the hell did that happen? Well, a big part of it is the composition. Not the production, mind you. Pharrell's production has the sort of hyper-clean polish that you would expect from his pop work that's very analogous to what he did on GIRL in 2014. But from a compositional point of view, these songs feel barely finished and oddly sour when they do. Electric guitar lines are isolated fragments that rarely coalesce into consistent melodies, strings are even spikier accents, and the acoustic grooves are universally underwhelming. It doesn't help that, for as pop as these songs are, they nearly all run out of ideas or flow within the first minute to 90 seconds, and that's before the abrupt endings that rarely ever pay off a satisfying chord progression. And you know, this half-assembled form might have worked with a rougher mix that was a little bit more jam band inspired, but so many of the percussion lines are stiff and mechanical that often feels like they're the only things holding these songs together. Now, that's not saying that there aren't moments that do come together. The best songs here are Work and Miracle, that have the most complete composition thanks to the organ and surf rock guitar in the former and a little bit more soul in the latter. But when you contrast that with the odd stiffness of One Dance or the misshapen messes of Come On and Skinny Dippin', or the borderline trap percussion that comes in on the latter half of The Boat and really adds nothing to the mix whatsoever, I'm left feeling these songs just feel more unfinished than anything else. Take One of Those Days, which has something of a sunnier mix with the springy acoustic segments and a pretty obvious Like a Prayer interpolation for the melody. With the 60s inspired vocal harmonies, you would expect more of an instrumental swell or climax that just doesn't really happen. And again, I'd be inclined to just disregard these as demos, except for the obscene amount of polish on the production makes everything feel far too crisp to blend well together, and nearly always the sandy cymbals too high in the mix, which smothers whatever melody there is here. And speaking of awkward blending, the vocal harmonies. Now, it's always been one of Little Big Town's greatest strengths that they can bring multiple complex vocal lines to harmonize together, and wow, I am underwhelmed by these arrangements. First off, the mood. For as much as this record is trying to feel breezy and lightweight, and man, it's trying hard, probably more than it should be, it's a little discomforting how few of these songs have the effortless ease or even sense of fun you would expect from pop music in this vein, in this genre. At least the songs that feel more dour and serious than they should ever be, and not even close to fun. And while I give them credit for trying for interplay on Come On in the vocal lines, it's so clumsily assembled that the chemistry just evaporates. And that's not counting the vocal arrangements that are flat out awful, some of Little Big Town's worst, with Skinny Dipping being being the easy example here, where the smeared over heat quality makes all of them sound like they have heat stroke. Or the boat, where it tries for a nautical style and outside the hook never really builds any sort of impact for me. Now, that's not saying that there aren't a few cases where they actually get kind of close. Miracle has a sort of late 70s AM soft rock vibe that isn't incredibly soulful, but is trying a little harder. And Work has enough barking gruffness in the vocals that you might even imagine it on one of their regular albums, but otherwise, it feels like these arrangements are trying for a pale facsimile of the past rather than adopt the style and do more with it, which is baffling to me, because with Pharrell on the production boards, you'd think he would guide them more in the right direction. He gets these genres. And on that note, might as well briefly mention the lyrics, and I mean to keep this brief because for the most part, they are completely pointless. And I know that's saying something even for Little Big Town. And that would have been fine if the music had been breezier or lighter, but with more minor progressions, you start looking deeper and immediately start wishing that you didn't. One Dance is a particularly disjointed affair, where Karen Fairchild spends most of the song telling off her male counterpart, who is a bit of a sleaze and not giving her enough attention, and then it shifts towards a bridge where they're gonna be the couple of the year after that one dance? What the hell? Or take The Boat, where he's gonna stand out in the water with faith to stand strong, so why is he waiting for the rain? You don't typically want rain when you're on the water. And then you just have bad choices of words in these songs, like on Willpower. And maybe it's just me, but while describing love as losing one's willpower might be kind of accurate, it rings as awkward with that choice of words. It's kind of rubs me the wrong way. But the larger issue is that for a sunny pop experiment, at least I think that's what this is, very few of these songs actually find any sort of satisfaction in their composition, or at least go in the complete opposite direction. I might like Work, but it's not exactly a relaxing song, and both Miracle and One of Those Days feel more searching for relief than anything else in the lyrics. But even if I throw the entire conceit of this being a lightweight summer album completely out the window, and just think of it as a throwback pop exercise and experiment, it still feels incredibly stilted, clumsy, and barely even close to fun. And when the lyrics are this lacking in weight or depth, I'm sorry, I just stopped caring. In short, no, I didn't like this at all, but I'm less angry as I am just kind of confused. I don't follow the through line of logic for Little Big Town with Wanderlust, but then again, I'm not sure there was any logic in its composition, because when pressed for an explanation, the band couldn't really explain what this album is. And yet, for as much as you could argue that there doesn't need to be an explanation or a lyrical through line or a theme, it doesn't make this any less unfocused, sloppily written, oddly sour in its composition, and completely lacking in weight. And if it wasn't gonna have any weight, it at least could have been fun. But I don't think I have heard a record in recent memory that tries this hard to be so rarely enjoyable. It's incoherent, a considerable step down from both Little Big Town and Pharrell, netting a solid 4 out of 10 for me and no recommendation. I appreciate them trying something new and experimenting a little bit more. I don't mind the genre bending, but if there's an album that gives proof that Little Big Town should stick more with country or folk, genres they at least seem to understand a little bit better, it would probably be this. Honestly, I'd skip it. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. Man, this was a letdown. But if you guys thought differently, I got the poll up here, so let me know what you thought. Do you think it managed to come together? Do you think it was fun enough? Did it work for you? It did not work for me. I wanted it to, but it did not come together. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or any other albums coming out that you want me to take a look at, I will try to give them a listen. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.